Hey guys, if you like my videos, please like and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it, thanks. Also, don't forget to hit the bell icon so you never miss a chilling new story when it drops. I always loved the outdoors, the fresh air, the rustling of leaves, and the sense of freedom that came with being away from the city. So, when I had a chance to take a week off work, I decided to go camping in Yosemite National Park. I'd heard stories about its beauty, and I couldn't wait to experience it for myself. I packed my backpack with all the essentials: a tent, sleeping bag, some food, and a map of the trails. I arrived at the park early in the morning. The sun was just peeking over the mountains, casting a golden glow over the trees. Birds sang cheerful songs, and a gentle breeze whispered through the branches. I checked in at the ranger station. The ranger on duty, an older man with a kind face, handed me a pamphlet about safety in the woods. "Stick to the marked trails," he advised, "and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask." "Thanks," I replied, tucking the pamphlet into my pocket. I set off down the main trail, enjoying the serenity of the forest. The path was well worn, and I passed a few other hikers along the way. Everyone seemed friendly, exchanging smiles and nods. After a few hours of hiking, I decided to set up camp near a small clearing by a stream. The water was crystal clear, and I could see small fish darting between the rocks. I pitched my tent under a large oak tree and sat down to eat a sandwich. As the afternoon sun started to dip, I decided to explore the area around my campsite. I wandered along the stream, admiring the wildflowers and the occasional deer that would dart away upon noticing me. I came across an old, overgrown path that seemed less traveled. Curiosity got the better of me, and I decided to follow it. The forest grew denser, and the sounds of the stream faded away. The air felt cooler here, and the sunlight barely pierced through the thick canopy. After walking for about 20 minutes, I noticed something odd ahead. Through the trees, I could make out a structure. As I got closer, I realized it was a set of stairs. They stood alone in a small clearing, made of worn stone, covered in moss and vines. It was strange. There was no sign of a building, no ruins, nothing that indicated why these stairs were here. They led up to nowhere, stopping abruptly at about 20 steps. I felt a chill run down my spine. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. But despite the unease, I was drawn to them. I approached the stairs cautiously. Each step was about a foot high, and they looked ancient. I reached out and touched the stone. It was cold, colder than it should have been under the afternoon sun. That's when I heard it, a faint whisper. I couldn't make out the words, but it sounded like multiple voices overlapping, inviting me, beckoning me to climb. I looked around, thinking someone might be playing a prank on me. "Hello?" I called out. No response. The whispers grew slightly louder, still indistinct but more insistent. Against my better judgment, I felt compelled to climb the stairs. I placed my foot on the first step. A surge of dizziness washed over me, but I shook it off. I continued upward, one step at a time. The whispers seemed to envelop me, wrapping around my mind like a fog. By the time I reached the top step, I felt lightheaded. The forest around me seemed distant, the colors muted. I tried to steady myself, but my vision blurred, and darkness edged into my sight. The last thing I remembered was the sensation of falling, even though I was standing still. I woke up to darkness. The sky above was black, dotted with countless stars. The moon was a thin crescent, offering little light. I was lying on the ground near the base of the stairs. My head throbbed and my mouth was dry. I sat up slowly, trying to recall what had happened. How long had I been out? It was afternoon when I found the stairs, and now it was night. My watch was missing, and so was my backpack. Panic began to set in. I stood up, swaying slightly. The forest was eerily quiet. No crickets, no owls, just silence. I decided to head back to my campsite. I tried to retrace my steps, but in the darkness, everything looked unfamiliar. The trees loomed tall and menacing, their branches like twisted arms reaching out. After what felt like hours of wandering, I stumbled upon a path. Relief washed over me. I followed it, hoping it would lead me back, But the further I walked, the more I realized this wasn't the way I'd come. The path was different, lined with stones that seemed to glow faintly. I heard the whispering again, softer this time, as if coming from the trees themselves. My heart pounded in my chest. I quickened my pace, desperate to find something familiar. Suddenly I emerged into a clearing. In the center stood another set of stairs, identical to the first. My stomach dropped. How was this possible? I backed away, fear gripping me. The whispers grew louder, echoing in my mind. I turned and ran back into the forest. Branches scratched at my arms and face as I tore through the underbrush. I didn't know where I was going, I just needed to get away. Eventually, exhaustion forced me to stop. I leaned against a tree, gasping for breath. The whispers had faded, but the silence was even more unnerving. I noticed something wet on my hands. In the faint light, I saw they were stained with a dark substance. My breath caught in my throat. It was blood, but whose? I searched myself for injuries, but found none. My mind raced with questions I couldn't answer. I tried to calm myself. Maybe I'd hurt myself and just didn't feel it yet. Shock can do that, right? I inspected my arms and legs more thoroughly, but found only minor scratches. The blood wasn't mine. A wave of nausea hit me. What had happened while I was unconscious? Or had I been unconscious at all? I needed help. I needed to find the ranger station or any other campers. I looked up at the stars, trying to get my bearings. I'd learned some basic navigation skills and decided to head north. As I walked, the forest seemed to close in around me. Shadows shifted in the corner of my eyes, but when I turned to look, there was nothing. Time lost meaning. It felt like I was walking in circles. The trees all looked the same, and there were no landmarks to guide me. Then, in the distance, I saw a light. Hope surged within me. I headed towards it, stumbling over roots and rocks in my haste. As I got closer, I realized it was a campfire. I could make out the silhouette of a tent and a figure sitting by the fire. "Hello," I called out, relief evident in my voice. The figure didn't move. I approached cautiously. "Excuse me, I think I'm lost." As I neared the campsite, I froze. The figure was slumped over, unmoving. I stepped closer and saw that it was a man, his eyes staring blankly into the fire. I reached out to touch his shoulder but pulled back when I saw the blood. It covered his shirt, a dark stain spreading from his chest. I stumbled back, horrified. My eyes darted around, looking for any sign of the attacker. That's when I noticed the knife on the ground, covered in blood, and next to it, my missing backpack. My mind reeled. How did my backpack get here? Did I do this? No, it couldn't be. I tried to remember what happened after I climbed the stairs, but everything was a blur. Flashes of images came to me, a struggle, the glint of a knife, the man's terrified eyes. I sank to my knees, gripping my head. No, I muttered. I needed to think logically. Maybe someone stole my backpack and attacked this camper. Maybe they were trying to frame me. But deep down I felt a gnawing doubt. I heard a rustling behind me. I spun around, but saw nothing. The forest remained still. I had to get out of here. I grabbed my backpack, hesitating only a moment before taking the knife. I didn't want to touch it, but I might need it for protection. I moved away from the campsite, avoiding the main paths in case the real killer was still nearby. As I walked, snippets of memory flickered in my mind, the whispers climbing the stairs, a sense of falling, and then darkness. I tried to piece it together, but it was like trying to hold on to a dream after waking up. The sky began to lighten. Dawn was approaching. I felt a slight relief at the thought of daylight. I emerged from the trees onto a familiar trail. This was the path leading back to the ranger station. Hope renewed, I quickened my pace. When I arrived, the station was quiet. I banged on the door. "Hello? Is anyone here?" The door opened, and the same ranger from before stood there, looking surprised. "You're up early," he said. "I need help," I blurted out. "There's a man. He's dead. I think someone attacked him." The ranger's expression turned serious. "Calm down. Tell me what happened." I recounted the events as best as I could, leaving out the parts about the stairs and the whispers, not wanting to sound crazy. He grabbed his radio. "Stay here," he instructed. "I'm going to call for backup." Within an hour, other rangers and the local police arrived. They asked me to lead them to the campsite where I'd found the body. As we walked, I felt the weight of their gazes on me. They were suspicious, and I couldn't blame them. We reached the site, but to my shock, the campsite was gone. There was no tent, no fire pit, no body. "This is where I saw him," I insisted, confusion and panic rising in my voice. One of the officers frowned. "There's nothing here." "But he was right here," I exclaimed. "There was blood, and my backpack was here." The ranger who'd first helped me placed a hand on my shoulder. "Maybe you're just disoriented. The woods can play tricks on you." I shook my head vehemently. "I'm not making this up." They exchanged glances. "We'll file a report," the officer said. "But for now, you should get some rest." They escorted me back to the ranger station. I could tell they didn't believe me. Back at the station, they offered me some water and a place to sit. I overheard them talking quietly outside. "Could be dehydration," one said. "Or something else," another replied. I needed to prove I wasn't crazy. I reached into my backpack to pull out the knife, but it was gone. I rummaged through my things, but it wasn't there. Frustration and fear consumed me. What was happening? The door opened and the ranger walked in. "We're going to have someone take you to town," he said gently, "just to get checked out." "I don't need a doctor," I protested. "I need you to believe me." He sighed. "We just want to make sure you're okay." I knew arguing wouldn't help. Maybe going to town would give me a chance to clear my head. They drove me to a small clinic in the nearby town. The doctor, a woman with kind eyes, asked me a series of questions. I told her about the blackout, the missing time, and the visions. She listened attentively. "Have you experienced any stress lately?" she asked. "Nothing unusual," I replied. "I was just on a camping trip." She nodded. Sometimes being in an unfamiliar environment can cause anxiety. "I'm not hallucinating," I insisted. "Let's run some tests," she suggested. After a series of examinations, she found nothing physically wrong with me. "Everything seems normal," she said. "Perhaps it's best if you rest for a few days." I left the clinic feeling defeated. No one believed me. As I walked through the town, I noticed people staring at me. Whispers followed wherever I went. I found a motel and checked in. I needed time to think. In my room, I tried to piece together the events. The stairs, the whispers, the blackout, the blood on my hands, the missing body. It didn't make sense. I decided to search online for any information about strange occurrences in the national park. What I found sent a chill down my spine. There were numerous reports over the years of people finding random staircases in the woods, stories of hikers disappearing after encountering them or experiencing strange phenomena. Some said the stairs were portals to other dimensions. Others believed they were remnants of old structures, but that didn't explain the odd experiences. I read accounts eerily similar to mine: whispers, loss of time, waking up in different places. I stumbled upon a forum dedicated to these mysteries. One user, Wanderer, had detailed knowledge about the stairs. I sent them a message explaining what had happened to me. Minutes later, I received a reply. "You're not alone," Wanderer wrote. "The stairs are gateways. They lure you in, and once you climb them, they take something from you." "Take what?" I typed back. "Sometimes memories, sometimes time, and sometimes they make you do things." A sense of dread settled over me. "I think I hurt someone," I confessed. "It's possible," Wanderer replied, "but it's not you. The stairs can influence people, make them act against their will." "How do I stop it?" I asked. "You need to find the stairs again and confront whatever is controlling them." The thought of returning terrified me, but I needed answers. Determined, I packed my things and headed back to the park. Night was falling by the time I arrived. I avoided the ranger station and made my way into the woods. The forest was different at night, more alive yet ominous. I followed the path I remembered, searching for any sign of the stairs. The whispers returned, faint at first, then growing louder. They guided me, whether I wanted them to or not. After hours of walking, I found myself back at the clearing. The stairs stood as they had before, bathed in an ethereal glow. I hesitated. Fear clawed at me, but I knew I had to do this. I stepped forward, and the whispers intensified. They spoke my name, echoing through my mind. I climbed the first step, then the second. With each step, memories flashed before me, moments from my past, both good and bad. At the top, I stood facing the darkness. "What do you want from me?" I shouted. A voice, clear and ancient, answered. "You came to us. You opened the door." "I didn't know," I pleaded. "Let me go." "Balance must be restored," the voice said. "A life for a life." Images of the dead man flooded my mind. I didn't mean to hurt him. "It is done," the voice replied, "but the debt remains." "What can I do?" I asked. There was silence, then a single word. "Choose." "Choose what?" I demanded. "Another to take your place," the voice whispered, "or remain with us forever." My heart sank. They wanted me to bring someone else here, to trap them as I was trapped. "I can't do that," I said firmly. "Then you stay," the voice echoed. The stairs began to tremble beneath me. Darkness swirled around, and I felt myself being pulled in. Desperate, I shouted, "Wait, there must be another way." Silence followed. Then the voice spoke again, softer this time. "Sacrifice." I didn't understand. "What do you mean?" "Give of yourself," it said. "Surrender what is most precious." I thought about my life, my memories, my identity. "Your essence," the voice clarified, "to free the one you took." I realized they wanted me to give up my soul or whatever made me who I am. It was a terrifying thought, but if it meant making things right, could I do it? I took a deep breath. "I accept." There was a pause, then the voice said, "So be it." A searing pain shot through me. I felt as if my very being was being torn apart. Memories faded, emotions dulled. I was losing myself. But amid the pain, there was a strange peace. I was doing the right thing. As the last of my consciousness slipped away, I heard the voice whisper, "Balance is restored." I awoke to the sound of birds chirping. The morning sun filtered through the leaves above. I sat up slowly, my head clear but empty. I couldn't remember how I got here or who I was. I looked around, seeing the forest as if for the first time. A path lay before me, and without knowing why, I felt compelled to follow it. I walked for hours, taking in the sights and sounds. Everything felt new and wondrous. Eventually, I reached the edge of the forest. A small town lay beyond. People passed by, smiling and greeting me. I smiled back, though I didn't recognize any of them. I found a bench and sat down, watching the world go by. A woman approached me. "Are you okay?" she asked gently. "I think so," I replied. "I just can't remember anything." She looked concerned. "Maybe you should see a doctor." "Maybe," I agreed, though I felt no urgency. She sat beside me. "My name's Anna. What's yours?" I hesitated. "I don't know." "Well, until you remember, how about we call you John?" she suggested with a smile. "John," I repeated. "I like that." We talked for a while. She was kind and seemed genuinely interested in helping me. As the sun began to set, she offered to help me find a place to stay. I accepted, grateful for her kindness. Days turned into weeks. I settled into the town, doing odd jobs and getting to know the locals. Everyone was welcoming and life was peaceful. But sometimes in the quiet moments I felt a nagging sensation, like something important was missing. I had dreams, vague and fragmented, images of trees, stairs, and whispers that faded upon waking. One day, while walking through the market, I overheard a conversation between two hikers. "I heard there's a set of old stairs deep in the woods," one said. "They say strange things happen around them." A chill ran down my spine. Without thinking, I approached them. "What did you say about stairs?" They looked at me, surprised. "Oh, it's just a local legend," the hiker replied. "Supposedly there's a staircase in the forest that leads nowhere. People who've seen it report weird experiences," the other added. "Loss of time, memory lapses." I felt a knot form in my stomach. "Do you know where it is?" They shook their heads. "No one does, really. It appears and disappears." I thanked them and walked away, troubled. That night I couldn't sleep. The dreams were more vivid. Voices calling out, shadows moving among the trees. I woke up in a cold sweat, a single word echoing in my mind: remember. Driven by an unseen force, I decided to return to the forest. I needed answers. I packed a small bag and set out at dawn. As I entered the woods, a sense of familiarity washed over me. My feet seemed to know the way, leading me deeper into the wilderness. The forest grew denser, and soon I was in unfamiliar territory. The whispers began, faint but unmistakable. I followed them, and after hours of walking, I found myself in a clearing. The stairs stood before me, just as in my dreams. I approached cautiously. Memories flickered at the edges of my mind. Climbing the stairs, a voice, a sacrifice. I realized then that I had been here before, that I had given up something vital. "Why am I here?" I called out. Silence greeted me. I climbed the stairs once more, reaching the top step. "Tell me who I am," I demanded. The voice returned, softer than before. "You chose to forget, to restore balance." "Restore balance," I repeated. "What does that mean?" "You took a life," the voice explained, "and gave yours in return." Pieces fell into place. I had caused harm, and in penance I had surrendered my identity. "But why do I remember now?" I asked. "The echoes remain," it said. "A part of you seeks the truth." "Can I reclaim what I've lost?" "It is done," the voice replied. "You cannot change the past." Despair washed over me. "Then what am I supposed to do?" "Live," it whispered. "Make new choices." I descended the stairs, feeling both empty and liberated. I understood that while I couldn't regain my past, I had the power to shape my future. I returned to the town with a new sense of purpose. Anna greeted me warmly. "Where have you been?" she asked. "I went for a walk," I replied, smiling. "I needed to clear my head." She looked at me thoughtfully. "You seem different." "I feel different," I admitted. We sat by the river, watching the water flow. "Do you ever feel like you were meant to do something important?" I asked her. She nodded. "I think everyone has a purpose, even if it's just to be kind to others." Her words resonated with me. I decided to let go of the past I couldn't remember and focus on the present. Over time, I became an active member of the community, helping where I could. The nightmares faded and the whispers ceased. I found peace in simple things, in friendships, in nature, in the act of living each day fully. While I would never know who I was before, I was content with who I had become. Years passed and the memory of the stairs became a distant echo. I'm Dr. Midnight. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.